Types of teaching jobs out there that you can do. I did go through this in the free training videos. However, I'm going to touch base on them again, and then exactly following this video, you will conduct your own personality check to see which one you would fall better into naturally or which one you would enjoy more. So we've got the K-12 program. This is the biggest and most profitable area of teaching if you're working for an online company. This essentially means kindergarten up to 12th grade. With regards to China, for example, the biggest learners of English fall into this K-12 category. The rates per hour are increased in this program because of the demand, and the rates can go from $10 to $24 per hour. So K-12 can mean you will teach anything from 3 years old until 16 years old, most likely. I am a K-12 teacher, and I have not really experienced so many people above 16 years old or below 3 years old. In terms of China, where most of the online ESL companies are booming, the hours for the K-12 program will be 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. during school time and in the week, and then 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the weekends, Beijing time. Teaching K-12 or young learners English online means you have to be very energetic, very enthusiastic, and apply all sorts of teaching techniques. It can be considered a very tiring curriculum to teach. And you must have a certain personality to find teaching K-12 relatively easy and enjoyable. Then there are teaching adults, which comprise of university students and up. There is less demand for this, and as a result, lower pay rates per hour. This is ranging from $10 to $16 if you work for an online ESL company. And there are still loads of adults wanting to learn English to allow them to travel or hold conversation with foreigners, as well as business English. There is just a bit less demand than the K-12 program. So the peak hours for teaching adults are normally bigger and generally go throughout the day, on the weekend and weekdays, as adults don't need to go to school. So if you are residing in a country which cannot fulfill the peak hours of the K-12 curriculum, then teaching adults may be a good option. These teaching hours are flexible, and they're generally from Monday to Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Beijing time. And teaching adults can be more interesting for some people. The material is obviously geared towards adults and can often be more stimulating to teach. Teaching adults can be considered more enjoyable as you can have conversations with people on interesting topics, and adults can be a bit more focused in the lesson than a child. You do not need to have props or be too animated and silly, as obviously an adult would not find that enjoyable. And it requires patience as always, however, definitely less energy and techniques to hold attention are needed. The types of material would include conversational English, business English, and role play. Then we have one-on-one classes. This is my favorite in particular for several reasons. It is just easier to manage the dynamics of a lesson with one student as opposed to several students. It is also easier to keep one student engaged instead of several. So if you are just starting out, I think it's best to start off with one-on-one before doing groups, as it is just easier to manage. And other things that are great about it is you can build good student rapport during one-on-one classes. You can pay full attention to one student. And there's generally a bit less discipline and online classroom management needed with one-on-one lessons. So if you're not comfortable yet in your teaching ability, it may be easier to go with one-on-one classes, develop your confidence, and then do some group classes further down the line. Group classes. These vary in size but are generally between 2 and 6 students. Group classes do require a certain system of teaching whereby you ensure you are actively involving everyone in the lesson throughout the duration of the lesson. It involves memory of names, and it can require having to apply discipline techniques in order to help each student be quiet and follow the lesson properly. The awesome thing about group lessons is the energy in the class can be really fun, especially with younger students. When you do singing or chanting or clapping and repetition, you can actively get all the kids to do it together. If you learn to master this technique, it can create super fun, high energy lessons that the kids will enjoy, and so will you. Group classes also involve various types of personalities of students, and this brings a bigger chance of variety in answers or ideas to questions you ask. You can also apply exercises and get the students to work together, support each other, or simply play games against each other. This kind of infectious collective energy is a bit harder to get when you're doing one-on-one lessons, but each type has its pros and cons, and it will boil down to personal preference, of course. As I said, when starting out, I think you should go for one-on-one as your first option. Once you've become comfortable with one student, you can look into applying to companies that have group classes if you want to try and change and do something new. Now we've got the standard teaching English online with a laptop or desktop. That's the normal way to do it. However, you can also teach off a mobile application, which means you can literally teach classes off your phone. So this is ideal for when traveling, and you will need an Android or iPhone to do it. These classes are generally conversational classes with students, but can also be video-based lessons with young learners. And this is good for on-the-go teaching, but it's not really ideal for full-time online ESL teaching. But it is an awesome option to choose from.